writing. Supreme Court of India Maneka Gandhi vs Union of India on 25th January 1978. Maneka Gandhi vs Union of India is a landmark case in Indian constitutional law that was decided by the Supreme Court of India on 25th January 1978. The case dealt with the issue of the right to travel abroad, which was considered to be a fundamental right under the Indian Constitution. In this case, Maneka Gandhi, a journalist, had her passport impounded by the Indian government without giving her any reasons for the same. She challenged this action and argued that her right to travel abroad was being violated. The government had relied on the Passport Act, 1967, which allowed for the impounding of a passport in certain circumstances, such as for reasons of national security. The Supreme Court, in a landmark judgment, held that the right to travel abroad was a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to life and personal liberty. The court also held that the procedure for impounding a passport must be just, fair, and reasonable, and that the reasons for impounding a passport must be communicated to the passport holder. The court also observed that the right to travel abroad was not an absolute right and that it could be subject to reasonable restrictions in the interest of national security, public order, or morality. However, the court held that such restrictions must be reasonable and must not be arbitrary or oppressive. The judgment in the Maneka Gandhi case is considered to be a landmark. In Indian constitutional law, as it expanded the scope of the right to life and personal liberty and affirmed the importance of procedural due process. The case has been cited in numerous subsequent cases and has had a significant impact on the development of Indian constitutional law. Supreme Court of India Maneka Gandhi vs Union of India on 25 January 1978. Headnote: Right to life and personal liberty, Article 21 of the Constitution, procedure established by law, reasonable procedure, natural justice, validity of Passport Act, impounding of passport, whether procedure adopted in impounding passport violative of Article 21 of the Constitution. Abbreviations: none. Jurisdiction: Supreme Court of India. Judges: H.R. Khanna, P.N. Bhagwati, V.R. Krishna Iyer, A.C. Gupta, and N.L. Antwalia. Statutes: Constitution of India, Passport Act. International conventions: none. Bylaws, rules, regulations, notices, notifications, if any, none. Ratlam Municipality vs Burdichan Bose. 29th July 1980. Ratlam Municipality vs Burdichan and Oz is a landmark case in Indian contract law that was decided by the Supreme Court of India on 29th July 1980. The case dealt with the issue of whether a contract entered into by a municipal corporation was enforceable or not. In this case, the Ratlam municipality had entered into a contract with Burdichan and his partners for the construction of a market. However, the municipality failed to make payments to the contractors as per the terms of the contract, and as a result, the contractors stopped work on the project. The municipality then terminated the contract and engaged a new contractor to complete their work. The contractors then filed a suit against the municipality seeking damages of contract. The municipality argued that the contract was not valid as it had not been approved by the government as required under the law. The Supreme Court held that the contract entered into by the municipality was valid and enforceable, even if it had not been approved by the government. The court held that a contract entered into by a municipal corporation was not void simply because it was entered into without proper authorization. The court also observed that the municipality had acted in bad faith by terminating the contract and engaging a new contractor without making payments to the original contractors. The judgment in the Ratlam municipality case is considered to be an important one as it established the principle that contracts entered into by municipal corporations are valid and enforceable, even if they have not been authorized by the government. The case has been cited in numerous subsequent cases and has had a significant impact on the development of Indian contract law. Case Law 2, Ratlam Municipality vs. Burdichan and Oz. 29 July 1980. Headnote: Administrative Law, Powers of High Court, Supervisory Jurisdiction, Public Law Remedies, Writs, Validity of Bylaws, Principles Governing. Abbreviations: Non-Jurisdiction, High Court. Judges: A.P. Sen, J.S. Verma, and M.P. Jain. Statutes: none. International Conventions: none. Bylaws, rules, regulations, notices, notifications, if any, bylaws of Ratlam municipality. Trial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak under Section 124A and 153 of Indian Penal Code. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, a prominent Indian nationalist and freedom fighter, was tried in 1908 for his alleged involvement in seditious activities. He was charged under Section 124A and 153 of the Indian Penal Code. Section 124 of the Indian Penal Code deals with the offence of sedition, which is defined as any speech or expression that brings or attempts to bring hatred or contempt towards the government established by law, or that excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government. The offence is punishable with imprisonment for life, to which fine may be added, or with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, to which fine may be added, or with fine. Section 153 of the Indian Penal Code deals with the offence of promoting enmity between different groups on grounds of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, etc. The offence is punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, to which fine may be added. Tilak was charged with sedition for allegedly making speeches and writing articles that were critical of the British government and its policies. He was also charged with promoting enmity between different religious groups for his writings on the Hindu-Muslim divide. During his trial, Tilak defended himself by arguing that his speeches and writings were meant to promote national unity and were not seditious in nature. He also argued that his writings on the Hindu-Muslim divide were meant to promote harmony between the two communities. However, the court found Tilak guilty of both charges and sentenced him to 6 years imprisonment. The trial and sentencing of Tilak were widely criticized by Indian nationalists and civil rights activists, who saw it as an attempt by the British government to stifle dissent and suppress the freedom movement. The trial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak under Section 124A and 153 of the Indian Penal Code is considered to be a landmark case in Indian legal history. It is seen as an example of the misuse of colonial-era laws to suppress political dissent and stifle freedom of expression. The case has also had a significant impact on the development of Indian constitutional law, particularly with regard to the interpretation of the right to freedom of speech and expression. 2nd March 2001 Trial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak under Section 124A and 153 of the India Penal Code. Headnote: Bal Gangadhar Tilak was tried under Section 124A, sedition, and Section 153A, promoting enmity between different groups, of the Indian Penal Code for his speeches and articles criticizing the British government. The trial was seen as a landmark case in the Indian freedom struggle and the principles of freedom of speech and expression. Abbreviations: non-jurisdiction, British India judges, Justice Dinshaw the War Statutes, Indian Penal Code International Conventions, none. Bylaws, rules, regulations, notices, notifications, none. The Nanavati trial. The Nanavati trial was a landmark case in Indian legal history that took place in 1959. The case involved Commander Covers Maneka Nanavati, a naval officer who was tried for the murder of his wife's lover, Prem Ahuja. The case generated widespread media attention and public interest due to its sensational nature and the involvement of high-profile individuals. Nanavati, who was married with 2 children, had discovered that his wife Sylvia was having an affair with Ahuja, a businessman. He confronted Ahuja, who refused to end the affair. In a fit of rage, Nanavati shot and killed Ahuja with his service revolver. At his trial, Nanavati pleaded not guilty and claimed that he had acted in the heat of the moment and under provocation. The trial attracted considerable media attention and public interest, and was the first in India to be covered extensively by the press. The case was heard by a jury, who found Nanavati not guilty by a majority verdict of 8-1. However, the judge disagreed with the verdict and referred the case to the High Court. The High Court upheld the prosecution's appeal against the verdict and ordered a retrial. In the retrial, Nanavati changed his plea to guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment. The case had significant implications for the legal system in India, particularly with regard to the use of the jury system in criminal trials. The case also led to the abolition of the jury system in India in 1961. The Nanavati trial continues to be remembered as a landmark case in Indian legal history due to its impact on the legal system and its sensational nature. It has been the subject of several books, films, and TV series, and has been widely debated and discussed by legal experts and scholars. 2nd March 2001 The Nanavati trial. Headnote: The Nanavati trial was a high-profile murder case in India in which a naval officer was tried for the murder of his wife's lover. The trial was seen as a landmark case in the Indian legal system as it was the last trial by jury in India. Abbreviations: none. Jurisdiction: Mumbai High Court judges, none. Statutes: Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code International Conventions, none. Bylaws, rules, regulations, notices, notifications, none. Trial of Derek Chauvin, George Floyd case. The trial of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd was a high-profile criminal case that took place in the United States in 2021. Chauvin, a former Minneapolis police officer, was charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter for his role in the death of George Floyd, a black man who died during an arrest in May 2020. The incident, which was captured on video and circulated widely on social media, sparked widespread protests and civil unrest across the United States and around the world, and brought renewed attention to issues of police brutality and systemic racism. Chauvin's trial began on 29 March 2021, and lasted for 3 weeks. The prosecution presented evidence, including witness testimony and video footage, to argue that Chauvin had used excessive and deadly force by kneeling on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, causing his death. The defense argued that Chauvin's actions were reasonable and justified, and that Floyd's death was caused by underlying health conditions and drug use. On 20 April 2021, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all counts, finding Chauvin guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Chauvin was remanded into custody and is currently awaiting sentencing, which is scheduled for 25 June 2021. The trial of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd was a landmark case in the United States, and its outcome has been widely seen as a significant moment in the ongoing struggle for racial justice and police reform. The trial and its aftermath have sparked widespread debate and discussion about issues of systemic racism, police brutality, and the role of law enforcement in American society. 2nd March 2002 Trial of Derek Chauvin, George Floyd case, headnote. The trial of Derek Chauvin was a high-profile case in the United States in which a police officer was tried for the murder of George Floyd, a black man. The trial was seen as a landmark case in the U.S. legal system as it raised important issues of police brutality and systemic racism. Abbreviations: non-jurisdiction, Maneka County District Court, Minnesota, U.S. Judges, non-statutes, non-international conventions, non-bylaws, rules, regulations, notices, notifications, none. Do like, share and subscribe my channel. Love it, Janvi.